I'm at the Skyland Resort in Shenandoah National Park. This is a very busy area up here. This resort existed here before the park was even formed. You're looking at the trailhead that goes to Stony Man Summit. It's a very popular hike. The actual resort is down that way. You can't see it from here. I'll include some still pictures from some of my other hikes. Today I'm going to take that trailhead over there, which should take me down to the Skyland Fireroad. The Skyland Fireroad goes down the western side of the mountain, down towards Luray, Virginia area. So we're gonna take that trail today and see where we end up. Here's the marker for the Furnace Spring Trail, just to give you an idea where it is. I just came down that little path there. Right up there is the parking lot. You can see the roof of a J Feather RV up there. So there's the parking lot, and at the other end of the lot is there's a park ranger actually up there. There's a large crowd gathered to take the hike up to the Stony Man Summit. But right here is the marker for the Furnace Spring Trail. So we're going to follow this down the mountain just a little ways, and then hopefully pick up the old Skyland Fireroad. The weather is really cool today. It's about 45 degrees up here. This is a high elevation section of Skyline Drive. The elevation up at the parking lot is about 3,700 feet. And so anyway, we're going to take this trail here, this Furnace Spring Trail, and then pick up the old Skyland Fireroad and go down the west side of the Blue Ridge. I'm 6/10 of a mile into my hike, and this first section's been pretty steep and rocky on the Furnace Spring Trail. I'm down to 3,426 feet elevation. There's the marker that shows where here's the Furnace Spring Trail. That's where I came from. Down a pretty steep section of trail, and now it's turning into a road. This is the old Skyland Fireroad. That's going back up the mountain to the Skyland Resort, and you can see it's chained across there. Whoa, we got tall grass coming up there. I hope the whole fire road's not that way, because I got shorts on today. But anyway, we're going to head on down the side of the mountain on this old Skyland Fireroad and see what that's like. So here's an example of what happens to these old abandoned fire roads in the summertime. The ones like this that don't have much gravel on them anymore, or the gravel's been covered up by dead grass and leaves and so forth. And you can see the grass is starting to grow up here. It's about 10 inches tall, maybe a foot in some places. But over the next month, this stuff gets really tall to the point where there's really no way of walking down these, even on these tread areas, there's really no way to walk down through there without brushing up against the grass and picking up ticks and stuff. So These fire roads are best hiked in the wintertime or late fall, early spring. I'm going to go down for a ways here. If the grass gets too tall, as I go further down in elevation, the grass will be even taller because it's warmer at the lower elevations. But anyway, here, take a look around. That's looking out to the west. There's a Stony Man mountain there. Doesn't look like a Stony Man from this angle, but from the overlooks up on Skyline Drive, you can see the man's face and his beard and so forth. And here's where I came from. So, just an old abandoned road. This is how people got up to the Skyland Resort years ago, from the west anyway. So we're going to keep on heading down this old fire road. Every once in a while you'll see these things in the park. Not quite sure what it is. I'm thinking it's a weather station though. It looks like there was a wind, speed, and direction indicator that's used to be up there that broke off, or somebody broke it off. And something inside's making a noise. It's running. Here's the first clear shot I had to the west. Here's looking down the fire road. That's looking down towards Luray, to the points to the west. And look at here, there's some power lines coming up here. Probably provide power to Skyland Resort. I'm 2.8 miles into my hike, and I'm down to 1,900 feet elevation. I'm at a sharp bend in the road. I want to switch back. There's where I came from. Here's the switchback, and that continues on down the side of the mountain to the west. I'm going to keep going down that way. But I stopped here for a minute because I saw this little, what looks like a trail heading down that way. And I went down there that way just a little ways, and when I looked back, on the back side of that big tree right there in the middle of the screen, there's a park boundary sign. So this is right at the edge of Shenandoah National Park. That land over there is private property. Yeah, I didn't realize it, but I went down there about 100 yards and started seeing a bunch of roads and trails and things. And when I looked over here, there is a, kind of in the middle of the screen, about 15 feet off the ground, is a wooden construction deer stand. And it's facing, you know, away from the park. So anyway, this bend in the road here, I'll mark it on my map. This is right at the edge of the park boundary. And that is private property over there. Hunting, of course, you know, you can do what you want in private property. But this way is back up the side of the mountain. This is National Park, and this way is National Park. So, going to keep going down the side of the mountain. I'm 3.6 miles into my hike. I'm down to 1,430 feet elevation, and this is the park boundary. That big tree there, maybe you can see the white sign nailed to it. That's a park boundary sign. There's some red blazing on that tree. But if you're thinking about hiking the Skyland Fireroad starting at the bottom here, there really isn't any place to park. Okay, here's the road coming up to this point. You can see it's pretty well, it continues to be used, and that's because right there, that gate there, that goes into private property. It says private property, no trespassing, no hunting or trespassing under the penalty of the law. So you don't want to go there. And here's where the Skyland Fireroad enters the park. You can see it's chained up. And there's really nowhere to park here, so you could have somebody drop you off here, and you could hike up to Skyland Resort and have somebody pick you up maybe, or vice versa, have somebody come down here and pick you up. But as far as parking a car here, that would be pretty dicey. Anywhere you park, you're either going to be blocking this guy, which he'd have you towed, or if you block the fire road, the Park Service will, if they see you, they'll tow it. So anyway, here's the bottom of the hike, and I'm going to turn around. I'm not going to eat my lunch here. I don't want to eat in the sun, so I'm going to head on back up the fire road just a little ways, maybe a tenth of a mile or so, and find a spot and eat my lunch. Alrighty, I'm a couple of tenths of a mile back up the fire road, and I found this one of very few flat rocks along the side of the road here, so I'm going to eat lunch. Today's exciting cuisine, Star-Kissed tuna creations, sweet and spicy. I'm going to put them on these tortillas with my titanium spork. Got some water to wash it all down with. Something a little different here. Nature Valley soft baked oatmeal squares. This one's blueberry flavor. These are pretty good. And instead of Keebler, look, today we got Lance toast cheese crackers, real peanut butter, 5 grams protein, whatever that means. And we also have Keebler toast and peanut butter crackers. And they are a proud sponsor of Major League Baseball. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Alright, so that's it. Not much of a lunch, but that's what I'm eating. .2 miles into the hike. Working my way up the west side of the Blue Ridge here. I'm up to 2310 on elevation. Through that little clearing you can see part of the ridge line up there. It's about 2 more miles to the top. There's where I came from. And here's where I'm going, on up the side of the mountain. So just stopped here to rest for a minute and get some water. So I've got to continue 2 more miles to the top. Six miles into my hike, and I'm up to 2,800 feet elevation. And I'm high enough now that if I look through the trees, I can see off to the west there. I can see the Massanutten Mountains, and even beyond that, the mountains on the western side of Interstate 81. So you can see pretty far from here. It's a fairly clear day. Here's where I came from, and I got to get up to 3,700 feet to get up to my car, which is parked up near Skyline Drive. It's about another mile to the top. I'm 6.4 miles into my hike, and I'm up to 3,050 feet elevation. And I turned on the video here just because this will be your last decent view to the west. From here on up, there's very few places that you can see anything. So I'm going to continue on up this way. It's fairly steep from here to the top. I've got about another 650 feet of elevation to climb, so better get to it. Six and a half miles into my hike, I'm up to 3130 elevation, and I just happened to look over and off part of the way down the side of the hill here from this fire road is this what looks like an old abandoned some sort of an old like structure fortress or something. It's obviously man-made. I don't see any easy way to get down there, and I'm pretty tired from climbing this mountain, so I'm just gonna get a few zoom in shots, and I'll mark the location on my map with my GPS. I might ask the Park Service about this to see if they know what this is. Whew, out of breath. 6.9 miles into my hike. I'm up to 3425, and this is where the Skyland Fireroad, it veers off to the right, heading up towards the resort. But I'm going to go back the way I came, which is to take this trail to the left, Furnace Spring Trail, because this trail takes me right back up to the parking lot where my car is. Right here where the Furnace Spring Trail veers off to the left, I noticed a lot of power lines, and then I looked down here and found this. This is a pump house. There's a wellhead up there. It's capped off in with blue steel and welded shut. And down there, I went over there by the door, and you can hear pumps running. and up there you can see power lines. So this is not too far from the resort, so I'm guessing this provides water to the Skyland Resort. And right there is 3 step-down transformers. So you got some 3-phase juice going to the pump house. Power to the people, baby. I'm back to the parking lot where I have my car parked at Skyland, but I wanted to show you this. This is a very special type of a benchmark. This is called a gravity control mark. This one is marked Skyland B 1999. This is a spot where the force of gravity was measured with a high precision instrument. And there's a whole line of these markers that runs from up here at Skyland, I think all the way out to somewhere near Dulles Airport. All different elevations, and they're used to measure the force of gravity. I'll look up a little bit more about it when I get home and maybe post a summary of what these things are all about. But this is one of them right here. And to give you an idea where it is, I don't think my camera will refocus, but there's the parking lot, and that red car is my car. And right here is the mark. It's right on the sidewalk at the Skyland parking lot, the one that you park in when you're going up to Stony Man Peak. Here's what the Skyland Resort looks like. That's the dining hall. There's a nice nice cafeteria there. I'll walk down there to the patio area and show you what it looks like to the west in a minute. Over here is some cabins that you can rent out. Here's a huge parking lot here. There's even more cabins up that way. Some hitching posts over there for horses. Here comes another happy camper. And that's the way I came from. I'll go back that way. That takes you back over to the smaller parking lot where I parked my car for the hike. And then back around to the dining hall here at Skyland. I'm at the dining hall. I'm at the dining hall at the patio area. Here's a look to the west. There's the dining hall right there. Okay, parking lot's up there. There's the rental office. Cabins down that way. Looking back around to the west. That's the Massanutten Mountains over there on the other side of the Shenandoah Valley. It's kind of windy up here today, and it's still pretty cool. Maybe 60 degrees. Here's another benchmark. This is embedded in the sidewalk next to the dining hall. This one's marked 119 MLS. And the date is 1963. Elevation 3,703 feet. This is the map of the hike. Quadrangle name is Big Meadows, 1994. Skyline Drive is barely visible on this map. This little piece of red right here is part of Skyline Drive. This area right here is the Skyland Resort. I included a couple of pictures and video clips of that. And this little parking lot right here is the parking lot where you park to take the trail, this trail over here, that takes you up to Stony Man Summit. This is an extremely popular spot because it's right off of Skyline Drive. It's next here to the Skyland Resort, and they have a restaurant you can go in and eat there. So there's a lot of people coming and going this way, but what I did was I parked here, and then I took this trail, which I had to draw this in on my map. This trail didn't exist on the map that was drawn in 1994. This is the Furnace Spring Trail, and it comes down here to the Furnace Spring. On my way back up the side of the mountain, I included a short video clip showing the wellhead and the pump house. So there's a spring here, there's a well, a pump house, and I believe that supplies water to the resort here. Anyway, you hike this Furnace Spring Trail down to here, and then you'll run into this Skyland Fireroad. And then you just basically follow. It's a fairly nice road. It's fairly well maintained. And you just follow it all the way down the side of the mountain. Oh, now right here is where if you take like 20 steps off the trail over into here, you're on private property. And over in here is where that deer stand was. I included a picture of a deer stand, so that was right here. But anyway, you keep coming on down the fire road down to here. It says there's a gate there, but that gate's been removed. The concrete posts are there, but no gate. The actual gate is right here at the edge of the property. And so it was kind of cleared out here and sunny, and I didn't feel like eating in the sun, so I turned around and came back up maybe to about here, and then ate my lunch, and then continued on up the rest of the way. Now when I got up to here, about here, this bend in the road right here is where I looked off here to the right and saw, well, to the left of the trail here. Coming up, it'll be on your right. But this is about here is where I saw that old, what I think might be an old Civil War gun emplacement. I included a couple of pictures of that too. I'll have to maybe send a note to the Park Service and see if they know what that is. And then back up to here, and then I drove over here to the Skyland Resort, and I showed you the restaurant and the cabins, and a look to the west. Oh, and over here where I parked my car, right about here at the beginning of the trail, it takes you up to Stony Man. Embedded in the sidewalk is that gravity station benchmark. And that's the hike for today.